Hello. Hello. Check. Hello. A very good morning to everyone. A warm welcome to all of you for the workshop on public safety in the digital era. The workshop that we're conducting today is being conducted by the Center for Digital Economy Policy in collaboration with our industry partner, Axon Incorporated, and in partnership with IIT Delhi. My name is Sharad Venkatraman, and I'm the Senior Policy Analyst at Center for Digital Economy Policy. Center for Digital Economy Policy is an independent think tank that was conceptualized in the year 2009 with the aim of accelerating India's transition into a digital economy. C-DEP focuses on promoting a level playing field for e-commerce and trade, technology-enabled manufacturing and services, next-generation digital services, digital infrastructure, and data governance. Over the years, C-DEP has contributed in research and in conceptualizing and advocacy of various policy initiatives on digitalization. C-DEP was founded by Dr. Jayjeet Bhattacharya, who is a noted expert in technology-led governance and is the president at Center for Digital Economy Policy. He has had leadership roles in global MNCs such as Accenture, IBM, HP, and KPMG. He did his BTech from the IIT Kanpur, MBA from IIM Calcutta, and PhD in computer science from IIT Delhi. Axon Incorporated was founded in 1993 as Taser International by brothers Rick and Tom Smith. The company's initial product was the Taser, a non-lethal weapon that uses electrical current to temporarily disable a person. The Taser, invented by Mr. Jack Cover, who sold the rights to the company in 1993. Axon has since diversified into a number of other products and services for law enforcement, including body cameras, digital evidence management systems, and mental health support platforms. The vision of Axon is to protect life. Our collaboration with IIT Delhi is an institution that needs no introduction. IIT Delhi has been a hub of the greatest minds of our country and has pioneered many key developments to this country. As we all know, public safety is a paramount concern for all societies. In recent years, the world has seen a rise in a number of public safety challenges, including terrorism, cybercrime, and natural disasters. These challenges have been exacerbated by the advent of digitalization. The digital age has made it much easier for criminals to operate anonymously and to spread misinformation. It has also made it more difficult for law enforcement agencies to track and apprehend criminals. In this context, technological interventions can play a vital role in improving public safety. By using technology, law enforcement agencies can gain better understanding of criminal patterns, track criminals more effectively, and respond to emergencies more quickly. We are delighted to have you all here today to discuss and explore these challenges and technological interventions that shape public safety in our digital age. Before we begin, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, and participants. We are honored to have you with us today. May I please request Akanksha to kickstart the event by handing bouquets to the speakers, please. If I may please announce who the speakers are for today. Mr. O.P. Singh. Yes, sir, please. If you can please have you at the dais. May I please have a round of applause, please. Dr. Geetam Tiwari. Professor Naresh Bhatnagar. Mr. Christopher Kirby. Dr. R.K. Mitra. And Mr. Shuddha Sattva Basu. May I please request the esteemed guests to kindly grace the stage for the lighting of the lamp. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, distinguished guests. May we please have a round of applause for them, please. To inaugurate this event, I invite Mr. Shuddha Sattva Basu, the Director of Western Asia, Axon Public Safety India Limited Private Limited, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Mr. Basu leads the mission in Western Asia to support law enforcement officers through technology solutions that allow them to better serve the communities across India, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. With over 30 years of experience in the tech industry, Mr. Basu has had leadership roles at Wipro and Microsoft before joining Axon. With an unwavering commitment to excellence, he remains a driving force in enhancing community safety and empowering law enforcement agencies with cutting-edge technology solutions. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
Thank you. And very good morning to everybody. Thank you for taking the time to spend efforts in building what we believe is a common point of view around public safety. As we all know, sorry, as we all know, terrorism, crimes, natural disasters are taking different forms and shapes over the years. If you look at, especially, the changing shape of crime today, while sitting here, you can receive a WhatsApp video call, and there could be multiple impacts if you accept that call. You could get defrauded. You could be lured into illegal sort of transactions. Natural disasters are taking a different shape thanks to climate change across the globe. The scales are changing. The impact to people are changing. That's where Axon comes in. Our mission, and it's been our mission for the last 3 decades of our existence, to protect lives and to preserve truth. And it is our privilege to be here to build a common point of view, a framework to discuss ideas that we can take to the extreme corners of India. India, as we know, we are blessed to be in India, right? The largest population in the world, the youngest workforce in the world, amongst the fastest growing economies in the world. And it's very, very important that we're able to preserve the environment that we live in, that we work in, that we thrive in today and for the immediate future that's coming up. It's also ironic that today is Kargil Victory Day, right? So it's an apt day to talk about and discuss public safety in the framework of an emerging India, one of the superpowers economically and leading the world in terms of technology. So once again, a warm welcome. Looking forward to a very enriching discussion over the next couple of hours. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and thank you very much.
Thank you for your warm words, Mr. Basu. Our first session today is a keynote speech on public safety, challenges, and technology intervention. We are honored to have Mr. O.P. Singh, Director General of Police, UP. He joined the IAS in 1983, IPS in 1983. Mr. Singh has held several positions of responsibility in UP and the Government of India, addressing issues of law and order, crime prevention and detection, traffic management, national and international disasters, aviation and industrial security, in various other capacities. He has served in various organizations such as SPG PM Security, National Disaster Response Force, CISF, CRPF, dealing issues of internal security besides UP Police. He has received numerous awards such as 3 Indian Police Service Medals for gallantry, Distinguished and Meritorious Services respectively. Distinguished Leadership Award for Disaster Resilience Exceptional Contribution Award 2016 for successfully leading the disaster relief operations during unprecedented floods in J&K and Chennai and the earthquake in Nepal, besides revamping the security apparatus of major airports in the country. Please join me in welcoming Mr. O.P. Singh to the stage.
Very good morning to everyone. Professor Geetam Tiwari, Mr. Basu, Dr. R.K. Mitra, Mr. Chris, Mr. Gopal Chaudhary, and other distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen. I am really privileged and honored to be invited here in this particular workshop, which is so relevant, talking about public safety in the digital age. And I'll be talking about the challenges and their technology intervention, slightly in a big way. But I'm happy to note that the knowledge partnership between IIT Delhi, Axon, and Center for Digital Economy Policy, they've all come together on this particular platform, and the whole day it will be discussed as to how the public safety, about which some of the speakers have already mentioned, there are so many of them: terrorism, natural disasters, law and order problem, crime. And they'll be talking about, and in the end of the day, some roadmap will be established and will be carved out. Friends, the public safety in our country, with all its peculiarities and surprises, presents a very, very formidable challenge. And this challenge is not only posed to police agencies, but it is to all the institutions within the country. And such challenges demand immense knowledge and anticipation. Such challenges demand innovative and efficient practices, and they also demand quick and smart responses, particularly in the landscape of the entire scenario. Take the example of police, the law enforcement agency. They are perhaps facing something of a perfect storm. They witness every day the increasing vulnerability in the populations they serve. It may be because of the socio-economic conditions, it may be because of the effect of new generation crime, or it may be because of the fact that there is a tremendous rise of problems like digital crime and economic offenses. The police, for example, and I have been a police officer for the last 37 years, I have been wrongly introduced as a serving police officer. I am a retired IPS officer. I have served in Uttar Pradesh as DGP. Besides, I have also headed organizations like CISF and NDRF. But when we talk of law enforcement agency, you can see and you can analyze and map out the whole thing, that the police become a service of the last resort to find out the missing child, the confused older person, or the distraught homeless youth with frequent regularity. When you try to examine the entire trends shaping the future of entire canvas of the public safety, it becomes clear that the next 10 to 20 years will be trying time for law enforcement agencies. And many changes are underway that will require significant adaptation on the part of these agencies. And the most important thing is that in almost every area, technology is wiping away traditional working methods much faster. Technology is permeating in public safety. New and emerging technologies can provide immeasurable technical, tactical, as well as outcome benefits to law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. Today, expanding networks of smart devices and the rise of artificial intelligence are transforming public safety technology from an essential tool set into an autonomous partner. And therefore, various state agencies have deployed them to identify innovative and evidence-based solutions as well as to chronic crime challenges, enhance partnerships like this, and also enhance public safety. The legitimacy, friends, that results from managing a crisis has an instant and lasting impact on public opinion and the daily lives of the citizens. This means that the public safety is both. It is to be treated like an opportunity as well as a risk. Indeed, if alerting citizens and managing an emergency are inefficiently handled, citizens may be put at risk. But on the other hand, understanding emergency procedures for response also develops resilience to risk. And mind it, building resilience is not a public choice. You have to do it at any cost. And that I have learned in my days as chief of the NDRF. So ensuring emergency are dealt with effectively, that requires adopting public safety technologies that can facilitate the operations management of a crisis as quickly and effectively as possible. We all know barely 2 years back, global governments all over the world had been striving hard to save human lives. and alleviate the economic and financial impacts of COVID-19. During that period, COVID-19 dominated the world with the disruptive nature of very necessary lockdowns and restrictions impacting day-to-day business across the globe. Business models are being disrupted every day. Technological advancements are changing the way we think and respond to our citizens as well as clients. Response times have dramatically changed. Our citizens are now getting redefined in every day. It is time to challenge ourselves because life is going to throw at us increasingly unscripted problems like the unpredictable virus, and we need to change our own mindset for better safety. Solutions in life cannot be always resource intensive. Sometimes the best solutions are found on the fly using available resources. Today, law enforcement agencies, they find themselves both intense challenges as well as tremendous opportunities to enhance public safety. Issues like crime, including cybercrime, natural disasters, environmental pollutions, transportation failures, technical disasters, accidents with underground and overground communications, they all are major challenges in our public safety domain. The cyber attack that took down India's top public hospital towards the end of the last year showed us how this nation will have to deal with future. Digital crime as well as warfare, both crashing into everyday life and critical facilities and infrastructure, causing more damage than ever before, even more than the border issues and intrusions. AIIMS, the public hospital, was disrupted for over 2 weeks, slowing to a crawl as it reverted to manual systems. The attackers had not just hacked into our major servers and stolen informations, but also corrupted terabytes of data, including the backups. Such was the severity of the crime that was committed. Going from landline to mobile phones, from self-driving cars to autonomous cars, and from 2G to 5G technology and internet and social media portals, they are all big things that have happened and which has brought the entire world into a global village. In the realm of public safety, friends, there are technologies which pose tough questions to all of us. The high standard of encryption being adopted by the industry today, the concept of machines talking to each other, the storage of data is in cloud, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, blockchain, nanotechnology, and darknet. Indeed, a tough job for public safety practitioners because criminals are using these devices to compromise with systems, steal data, extract ransom, stalk victims, and sell illegal products on net. These are some of the crimes that are being committed. In recent years, several new technological interventions have emerged to combat the challenges of public safety. I would like to mention some of the notable ones like artificial intelligence, which can analyze large amount of data such as the surveillance footage, social media posts, and crime records. And they also identify the patterns and predict criminal activities. You have the real-time data analytics. It can process and analyze real-time data from various sources, such as emergency calls, sensors, and social media, and to provide actionable insights. Augmented reality for first responders, because I have seen in my NDRF days how the first responders act. And it can assist first responders by providing them with real times, contextual informations during emergency situations. Then you have the gunshot. If you talk of the crime, then you have the gunshot detection systems. These systems employ acoustic sensors to detect and locate gunshots in real time. By instantly alerting law enforcement to potential gunfight incidents, they can significantly reduce response time and enhance public safety. And the most important is the smart city infrastructure. This integrates various technologies such as sensors, cameras, and connected devices to enhance public safety. For example, smart street lights equipped with surveillance camera and environmental sensors can improve lighting, monitor traffic, and detect abnormalities in urban setting. All these technologies and their interventions, when combined with proper implementation and training and private safeguards, will have the potential to revolutionize the public safety domain and contribute to safer and more safer communities. My experience with the UP police particularly, I have seen that UP is one of the largest. In fact, I was talking to Chris, it's the largest in the world in terms of numerical strength. And you talk of the problems, all kinds of problems are there in Uttar Pradesh. We developed a system a couple of years back, UP Police Emergency Management System, because we knew that delayed police response in public emergencies has been often a staple part of ridicule in Bollywood films. And with our world-class emergency system, which we call UP 112, we have consigned the Bollywood satire to the dustbin of history. UP 112 established by the government that for prompt and integrated emergency response. And with a maximum of time, less than 10 minutes, when I joined the UP police, it was 27 or 23 minutes. We brought it to 10 minutes, which are probably faster than a pizza is delivered in UP. And a fleet of more than 6,000 vehicles, which we call PRVs, police response vehicles, fitted with GPS-enabled mobile data terminals, MDTs, radio over internet wireless sets, ROIP, as well as mobile phones and dashboard cameras. They have become almost the beacons of hope for millions of citizens there. These PRVs are continuously tracked at our control room, which can monitor every caller's location through location-based services. And this also enables police response vehicles to reach the caller through the shortest possible routes, saving valuable time, which is critical in emergency services. And if you look at the infrastructure, that consists of a centralized contact and dispatch center at Lucknow, which is the central command, dedicated lease lines to connect to 126 centers, which include the districts, ranges, zones, other places. And you have the data center and disaster recovery centers at seismic zone. You have an alternate system in Bangalore. And we have two operation mirroring centers, one at Ghaziabad and the other at Prayagraj. So at the centralized center, we did not employ any policemen. In fact, the women, the girls who are taking calls, they were all professional women, and they're not the police, and they ensure a very patient and non-judgmental hearing. So this is the beauty of the whole thing. And not only can citizens call, but they can also reach through various apps. We have UP 112 app, we have through SMS, through emails, through web chat, WhatsApp, Twitter, and all other social media platforms, and you can expect equal attentions. So currently, the UP 112 is completely integrated with various services like ambulance, government railway police, panic buttons of UP SRT, which we call pink buses, and fire services. And through one call, citizens can get 1, 2, 3, and all the 3 services at one go as required. So I can safely say that through technological interventions, the UP 112, which has been a modern, one of the best emergency response mechanism, we have been able to achieve increased visibility, we have been able to achieve the enhanced response, as well as integrated services. If we look at social media platform in UP, which I have seen myself, this is one of the innovative use of social media by UP Police, and we have gone in for grievance redressals as well as public outreach, also through communications. And we saw that with a network of more than 125 verified Twitter handles, covering almost all important wings of UP Police, the Twitter Seva of UP Police is the world's largest partnership of Twitter with any government organizations. And with this, we achieved in 2017. It has been expanding day in, day out. And UP Police Twitter Seva has an organic follower base of more than 10 lakhs of people and received more than 20 lakhs of tweets in the past 2 to 3 years. So you can see that out of which more than 90% were the actionable informations. So this is one of the technological innovations that we have done in case of UP Police. I'm just giving you an example. Let's talk about Women Power Line, Women Helpline, because we have always been talking more of safety of the women. This is another marvel of technology employed by UP Police, which has a dedicated women helpline 1090, and we were the first in the whole country. And it became a truly milestone for women's safety in Uttar Pradesh. The calls at 1090 are received only by the women operators, and a registration number is automatically sent to the victim for future references, working on totally anonymity, because the girls do not come to the police precisely for shame and so many other things, but you are not disclosed, your name is never disclosed. So we work on anonymity, the identity of the victim is never disclosed, and the victim is never called to any police station. Police counselors locate the perpetrators and counsel him, and Women Power Line 1090 remains in touch with the victim till the resolutions of the whole conflict. So you can see that these are some of the innovations that we conducted in UP and found that how the technology can do wonders in case of public safety domain. In a first for India, UP also did in the prison management system. We deployed an AI-enabled video analytics platform, Jarvis, in 70 prisons to monitor inmates. The platform runs real-time video data analysis from over 700 cameras installed across 70 prisons, which gives officials, the prison officials, access to real-time insights on potential threats covering 900 kilometers, because the prison has the maximum areas to cover. And they are trying to get the real-time informations about violence, about unauthorized intrusions, about illegal mobile phones, as well as about weapons. In 2017, in December 2017, Telangana police launched a smart Robocop equipped with camera, GPS and sensors, including ultrasonic readers, proximity sensors, and temperature sensors. They were developed by H-Bots Robotics, a Hyderabad company, with the help of AI technology. The robot is designed to assist the police in managing law and order as well as in traffic. The robot can take care of security at selected spots, such as malls, airports, as well as at other public places. And it can also recognize people, take complaints, detect bombs, identify suspects, interact with people, and answer people queries. The government of Maharashtra in India, in 2015, we introduced a 800 crore plan to secure the cyberspace in their state. The initiative included the development of a software which would help the police in predicting, preventing, and detecting cyber crimes in real times. The monitoring of the functioning of the street lights, about which I spoke a little bit, and timely replacement of failed components are crucial aspects of public safety, because a lot of public safety elements are involved. The crimes take place in dark areas where you do not have the street lights, and the components are defunct. They are not to be replaced so soon. This task becomes easier with an AI-based street light monitoring system. Then you have in Tamil Nadu e-governance agency, which is in the process of developing an Internet of Things automated smart street monitoring system to detect street light failure in real time. So the technologies which hold great promises in this regard, particularly in public safety, we'd like to summarize it that you need to have wide-scale and integrated CCTV surveillance. This system can be complemented by body-worn cameras, sensors, cameras mounted on unmanned aerial vehicles, particularly with the drones. And then you have the intrusion detection system. I have worked in aviation security. I know how difficult it is to check the intrusion. And many systems are in place in various airports, like in Delhi or Hyderabad and Bombay, in Mumbai. Then you have the biometric sensors, RFIDs, facial recognition systems, number plate recognition system, video analytics. Then use of GIS-based maps for spatial mapping of crime, criminals, and police resources. Sophisticated Central Command, Control, and Coordination Center. This we introduced in 2019 in UP while we were having the Kumbh Mela of 2019, and this was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister of our country. Social media monitoring tools, data-driven policing strategies, portable equipment to deal with natural and man-made disasters, and also for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear emergencies. So friends, these are some of the areas where the public safety challenges are, and you have the technological interventions. I'm so sure that while the challenges are daunting in the field of public safety, we can do substantially by technological interventions. I'm pretty sure that this one-day workshop on public safety in the digital age will draw the best minds of the country here. We'll have different sessions where the people would try to deliberate, discuss these things, and we'll carve out a roadmap, because the police agencies, particularly the police forces in the country, they really need some kind of technological innovations. Chris asked me that how do you manage such problems, such challenges with meager force? And that is the challenge. You have less of manpower. In fact, the police population ratio is the worst in our country. It's the minimum. It's the lowest. And to deal with such population, where you have the problems, you name a problem and they are there, not only in UP but in other states. The time has come when we have to go for technological innovations, technological interventions in a big way in the areas of public safety. And this knowledge partnership between various industries, IIT Delhi, I remember in NDRF as well as in CISF, as well as in UP Police, we had a lot of collaborations with IIT Kanpur, ISRO, so many other IIM Indore, and through which we used to get a lot of good, brilliant inputs, which would be so cost effective and which would be so good for the public. Public needs such kind of quick redressal. And I think such workshop of this kind will definitely do a lot of service to our law enforcement agency and will make the public safety arena more secure, civil to the humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your experienced and insightful remarks, Mr. Singh. Thank you. May I please request Akanksha to grace Mr. Singh with a small token of appreciation from our side. Our next session will focus on road safety, an integral component of public safety. It is our pleasure to have Professor Geetam Tiwari from TRIP, IIT Delhi as our distinguished speaker. Professor Geetam Tiwari is the TRIP Chair Professor at the Department of Civil Engineering of IIT Delhi. She has over 25 years of experience in the areas of transport planning, traffic engineering, and transport safety in India, USA, Bangladesh, and African countries. She has been involved in interdisciplinary research focusing on urban traffic patterns, public health effects in the urban environment, etc. Her research has led to the introduction of bus rapid transit systems in Delhi and guidelines for the design of highways and streets in urban environments. She has also written and edited several books on transportation planning and road safety. Some of her notable achievements include being appointed an honorary doctor by Kam's University of Technology, Sweden in 2012, member of the working groups on urban transport for the 12th Five-Year Plan of India and the Nation Transport Development Policy Committee. Please, maybe please have a round of applause for Professor Geetam Tiwari. Thank you, ma'am. Sure. Can we connect just one moment?
Disconnected right now?
Yes.
I can open the right.
Sure. Can we just connect because
access नहीं है वहाँ पे लगाना पड़ेगा ऊपर
हाँ, कहाँ?
Resolution,
ma'am, can we just take
Yeah, but there are many things. I'll have to come with you.
yeah
all right.
We can just load it there quickly.
No, just one moment. You can just have another laptop here on the session. Yes, please.
No, it had this. It could. I mean, I could remove this and use this also.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. That's what I was going to do. Yeah. Just disconnect it and that
Yeah,
will
it
open
is disconnected already.
Excuse me. This will not work. The PPT will display from this there only, so she can read it from here.
It is not working.
No, it will display from here, and you can just swipe from here.
So good morning, and apologies for this, but this was not my fault. So we'll try to make up for the lost time, and I'll just go a little bit quickly. As we all know, road safety is a huge problem in India. It is a public safety, and it's also a public health problem. It is not just about altering human behavior. It is about lack of provisions that we have, or lack of our understanding this as a public health problem. So I will, in this short presentation, would like to share some data with you. And technology and digital technology does offer us a lot of opportunity to address some of the issues. However, much more important thing is, before using technology, understanding the science behind road safety and raising the right questions, because this big data ML can give you a lot of answers. And if we ask the wrong questions, we will get the wrong answers. So let's get into this. This is simply showing you how the deaths have been increasing in Indian road traffic crashes. And as far as fatality is concerned, now we are more than 150,000. And by many other estimates, this is an underestimate. Actually, the real number could be about 2 lakhs. And those are also government estimates. This is based on police data. But when Registrar General of India and Health Ministry looks at this data, and they have different methods of finding this number, their estimate is about 2,20,000. Injury crashes are heavily underreported. It should be at least 15 to 20 times more than fatalities. But in government reported data, which is mostly Home Ministry or Ministry of Roads and Highways police data, this is what we get. And the two numbers, one moment, go back to the previous one. The two lines are showing the total number of deaths in blue line, and the other one is normalized by population. So we are looking at deaths per 100,000 population, which is how we understand public health problem. When you look at malaria, tuberculosis death, you have to understand what is the extent of the problem in the population. Next. So these are different states, and different lines are showing you what has happened over time. And actually, very interestingly, if you look at this data is from 15 to 19, 21, 22 data is still, we are plotting that. So highest numbers in terms of total is Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, etc. The richer states, which are quite digital savvy, but we haven't been able to solve this problem. Also, Tamil Nadu, I want to just highlight, very interestingly, in this it shows as though it has reduced. But in the latest report, Tamil Nadu has informed Government of India that their numbers are under revision. And Tamil Nadu has had this, since 2009, they had a digital database created, RADMS, Road Accident Data Management System. And another version of that has been launched by Government of India as IRAD or EDAR, Electronic Database for Accidents. What I just want to highlight, that only making electronic database doesn't solve our problem. What happened in Tamil Nadu? They started underreporting. And through different sources, now it's been found almost 20% accidents were not reported in the time period where it is showing major reduction. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is showing the hilly states. We have put hilly states separate because the whole terrain is, land use is different, so you have to analyze it differently. But again, if you look at Assam, the numbers, you know, where the blue line exceeds all others, that means it's increasing. So even after introducing a lot of things, we still haven't been able, successfully, we have not reduced these numbers. Keep going. Next one. These are the cities. And again, in cities also, if you find highest number is in Chennai, followed by Bangalore, and then of course Lucknow, Allahabad. There are a lot of other cities. Only to point out, actually it has little to do with regional distribution. It could be north, south, east, west, anywhere. And it also, size doesn't matter that much. Next one, please. So this is showing actually fatalities, if you see deaths per 100,000 population. And again, you see now we have normalized it by population. So highest rate seems to be in smaller cities, Asansol, Ludhiana, Vijayawada, Allahabad, etc. And Chennai, Lucknow are still kind of on top. So again, there is no regional distribution. Richer states and cities which have invested more in upgrading their systems, mobility system has higher number of deaths. Keep going. Okay, so this is showing two graphs and it's comparing the difference between 5 years what has happened. The first one is between 14-15 and 18-19, and the second one is between 15-16 and 19-21 data. So blue color actually is where you have, so blue is what happened earlier and the red is what happened later. Am I right? Madhya Pradesh, Punjab. Yeah, blue is what is the current data, 19-21, and the red dot is 15-16. Every time blue dot is ahead of red, that means there is progress. Okay, so what has happened now? Look at, let's look at, so essentially it is showing in some states it has reduced, in some states it is still increasing, and in some states the difference is very little in 5 years. So wherever it has reduced, maybe we should look into those states in more detail, what has happened, that we have some learnings from there. However, in other states where it's still increasing, that's a problem. We have to again look at in more detail why is it still increasing. So West Bengal has made some progress, Bihar has made some progress, Assam, no, West Bengal is better but Bihar is worse off now. Gujarat is little better, Uttar Pradesh is worse off, and you look at Telangana is almost the same, hardly small difference. Chhattisgarh has become really bad now. Haryana is almost the same. Tamil Nadu we are ignoring for the time being because this data is under revision. So this is the learning we have. Richer states, so earlier states where we had lower death rates seem to be increasing. And one understanding that we start getting is that wherever highway systems have been upgraded, more investment in making better highways is leading to higher deaths. So this is very unfortunate because our definition of better highways should also be safer highways. And that is where we have to do a lot of introspection that why it is not happening. Let's move on. Okay, so these are the two main reports, government reports that we find, and a few things I want to find out. I want to highlight that we are hoping that with myriad system, which is this electronic system which has been implemented in all 36 states by Government of India, the quality of data should improve in these two reports. However, the next one, when we start actually comparing what is available in these two reports, which is police data, and compare it with other surveys, so other health surveys, longitudinal aging survey of India, global burden of disease, everywhere you find those are the different graphs, and here it is showing total numbers of victims involved in traffic crashes as well as the age distribution. And in both you find that the numbers that we are getting from our police data is way off than what we are getting from health surveys. So hopefully our digitization, I don't know, it's a big question mark. Will it improve? Only if we change our methods of coding data or uploading data. But simply if we just transfer from manual data to electronic data, we don't think there will be much changes. Keep going. Yes, this part I have already explained you, so we can keep going. And this is one major problem we find, that MORTH, the first pie chart that you see is reporting, police data is reporting 17% pedestrian deaths, whereas all other methods, all other surveys are showing about more than 30% pedestrian deaths. So this is important. If we don't understand who the victims are, our priority interventions will be affected. Keep going. Yeah, so essentially there is large variation between health ministry, death registration and police data. And let's see what digital technology we can use to resolve this problem. Keep going. So quickly, when we are trying to understand traffic safety problem, it's not that for every crash we have to get a lot of data. In fact, police data is supposed to be the census for traffic crashes. If we can simply get the most important information reliably put in this data, and digitization does enable us to do that, that is all is needed for the lowermost step in this pyramid. That is, we understand clearly the epidemiology of fatal crashes. How many people, where are they dying, who is the victim? After we have understood this typology, then we can get into more details, not for every crash, but few selected crashes, and there we involve other, not police, but other experts, health professionals, traffic management professionals, and there we start understanding and actually uploading more details to understand what type of roads where we have this problem, what kind of injuries are happening, how people are reaching the hospital. Again, digitization can help us, but it's a second level of data. And the third level, which is used basically by super specialists for crash reconstruction models, this actually helps manufacturing industry, car manufacturers, to come up with new standards for cars and new standards for roads, etc. Very few in-depth analysis is required, not for every data. So today, IRAD is asking about 200 screens to be filled up by different 4 departments. But I think that's an overkill. We don't need that. And we are not sure whether we will get reliable data so much. Who's going to input this kind of details? So we have to, my suggestion is only to just, whenever we are introducing these kind of new technologies, we have to do very careful monitoring and evaluation, and do course correction as soon as possible based on our understanding. Next, please. So actually numbers are very important for us, because once we actually use only the government estimates, it turns out to be it's about the loss of socioeconomic loss in the country is about 0.77% of our GDP, equivalent to 0.77%. But when we actually start applying corrections for our data, we go up to 3 to 5% of our GDP loss. So improving data by using different methods is important. Keep going. And in next few minutes, I will just show you some, basically some cities level, what is happening in Delhi, what is happening, because Delhi data has always been much better than many other states. So if you look at here, starting from, let's say, 2010, if you see the blue line is showing number of deaths in Delhi per 100,000 population. After 2010, it's a downward trend. So actually, we can understand a lot of things, what has happened in Delhi, which gives us this downward trend. And is it replicable in other places? And this is when motorized two-wheeler per 100,000 population has been increasing. And cars per 100,000 population is also increasing. So often we hear this argument that with increasing number of cars, increasing number of people, it is logical to have more deaths. No, that is not correct. Globally, we know that with increasing income, more cars, more people moving around, number of deaths have come down. Next one, please. Yeah. So this is, Indian cities have many times more death rates than Europe. And this is where actually we need to then do a lot of introspection and use different technologies to solve this problem. Keep going. Next one, please. So vehicle ownership has increased a lot. And actually why we wanted to point out this motorcycle vehicle ownership increasing in India is several times more than car ownership. And this is a big challenge for traffic safety. Because globally we don't have many methods how to make motorcycle users safe. Helmet is only 30% effective. And helmet enforcement is quite poor. And Tamil Nadu has started using digital technologies to check for helmet enforcement, but it is still, for pillion riders, still remains very low. So what new knowledge, new science, new investigations are required to improve this is a big question mark. Next, please. Yeah, this is just showing very poor helmet compliance in most Indian cities. Keep going. Next one, please. And for pillion riders, even worse than drivers. Keep going. Keep going. We can keep, yeah. So one important thing we can start understanding, there are ways of collecting more details. And even starting with current information which is there, if we start coding it differently, we can automate a lot of this and we start getting different information. Keep going. Next one, please. So we can actually define who the victim is. Keep clicking. Next, please. Yeah. So if by recoding the data that already exists, we find that this is actually showing us between Haryana and Chhattisgarh, who are the victims. And you find that motorized two-wheelers are the largest number of victims. And this is followed by, actually the next percentage is pedestrian, 28% and 19%. So even from government data, if we code it differently, we get a different information. Next, please. And we can actually start looking at the typology. So all the dark blues are showing where motorized two-wheeler is involved, either as impacting vehicle or as victim. So it is showing us that we have to do a lot of investigation for motorized two-wheelers. Keep going. Yeah, and this is very different from high-income countries. So you look at India, Brazil, Colombia, what patterns we see, many different typologies. And the high-income countries like India, we have much fewer typologies. So it is explaining the complexity of our problem. And we need to have much more detailed investigation too. So it's not as easy as that global best practice exists, and then we can just borrow it. Next, please. And this may be the last one. Yeah. So the next level is really using different digital technology. And here we are combining GIS mapping, what has available in police records, district-wise. So this is one district of Delhi. And it is showing where the clustering of crashes is on different types of roads. So if we give this map to the district magistrate of this district, that he can call public works department people, traffic police people relevant to this district. Why don't we focus on these 3 roads? This is where the real problem is. And get into details of what needs to be done. So in this sense, digitized technologies does offer, they do offer a lot of useful techniques. And but I think the most important thing is what I said in the beginning, asking the right questions. If we only focus on penalizing people, globally we know that that alone doesn't solve our problem. So that's it. I can stop here. And sorry and apologies for the initial delays. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tiwari. Professor Tiwari, if we may please request you to stay on stage for a small token of appreciation, please. Thank you. Now we move on to our next session, which will delve into personal body armor, new horizons of human society. Our next speaker is a visionary leader in the field of material science and engineering. He is committed to using his knowledge and expertise to solve real world problems and make a positive impact on the world. He has pursued multidisciplinary research in areas of polymer material processing, biomaterials and biomedical implants, nanocomposites, microcellular extrusion and injection molding, manufacturing of bullet and blast resistant materials, and novel characterization methods for polymeric composites. He has also supervised 25 doctoral theses, with 15 still ongoing, and 75 master dissertations in various areas related to materials, manufacturing, and product realization. He has published in 130 plus international peer-reviewed journals and in 145 plus international and national conferences. Please give a warm welcome to Professor Naresh Bhatnagar, Dean of Research and Development at IIT Delhi.
Very good morning and welcome to this session. So maybe I can request the slides to be uploaded, please. Yeah. Okay, so this is a topic for the safety of our security forces who are doing the public safety at large and the safety of our nation on the borders. So we have to also look into the safety of our own people. So bulletproof jacket or bullet resistance jacket, these are the two terminologies which we are going to talk about. This is an onion approach to survivability. So which means like you are peeling, the first layer is not to be seen or do not be acquired or do not be hit. And even if you are hit, the bullet should not penetrate, or even if the bullet penetrates, you should not get killed. So these are the levels of security which has to be provided to a person who is guarding us, who may be a police force, who may be at the border, who may be at the international borders, or who may be at the conflict zone, internal conflicts. Next, please. So if I just give a glimpse of the history of body armor, it used to weigh a lot, maybe from the earlier centuries where it was made out of iron and steel, weighing almost like 40-45 kgs. People were just using it. And then came the modern one when the bullet started or the firearms started. So we have to stop that. And over the last 2 world wars, it has gradually, because of the development of material science, it has improved a lot. And we are coming to that solution. Next, please. So when we started working on it, it was almost like 22.5 kg average body armor which Indian Army was using with the steel plates. And it was very difficult, cumbersome, mobility was affected, and then everywhere there was a development going on, and so we also started working. And also there was a higher risk of fatal injuries due to BABT, it is behind armor blunt traumas. So that is another terminology which is used. Next, please. So the new age armors, which is also known as lightweight composite body armors, it is made up of composite materials. So I was working in the area of fiber reinforced plastics and also required to be working in the area of ceramics to take care of the bullets which are made of cores which may be hardened steel cores. So to stop that, it becomes a challenge. So, and that too, in Indian standards, we have to see that there is either minimum or almost negligible backface signature. That means once the bullet hits, it gets stopped. The deformation of the material should not be much, because as compared to the European or the American soldiers, here the body type is little different, and that becomes one of the requirement. There the backface signature is around 44 millimeter, but in Indian standards, it is just 25 millimeter. So it's a big challenge for us to take care of that. Just next, please. So if you just look at the classification, so there are two type of material system, one which can absorb the energy and one which can dissipate the energy. So a modern day armor combines the two. There is a disruptor which dissipates the energy and the another one which catches or absorbs the energy. So there are two different type of materials. The disruptor ones could be a metal or could be a ceramic, and the absorber ones are usually polymer based fabrics or fibers. Next, please. So there are ballistic fibers, ballistic fabrics, maybe non-woven, cross-plied, or unidirectional laminate. So these are different terminologies which is derived from the textile technology. Next, please. And what are the requirements of ballistic fibers? They should have high modulus, high tenacity, that means the strength per unit weight of them, and also resistance to chemical, resistance to industrial solvents, very low elongation to break, and very comfortable to wear, and also cost effective in manufacturing. And so we have to look into high denier fibers which are typically. Next, please. So there are choices. We can go with aramid fibers, which are also typically known by the name of Kevlar fibers made by DuPont. Or there are PBO fibers, M5 fibers. These are all variety of these fibers. Then there is a UHMWP, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene fibers, which is the mainstay nowadays. Or we can have basalt or glass fibers in terms of E-glass and S2 glass. Next, please. So we had focused only on UHMWPE, which is the lightest of the polymer, low density and high performance polyethylene fibers, which is having a structure like this. And this was first discovered in 1970s, commercialized by a company called DSM from Netherlands, and then Honeywell in USA started working on these fibers. Next, please. So the fibers, it's a very difficult process because it's a high modulus fiber. So generally it is not easy to process. So there is a gel spinning technique. So the entire gel is formed of polyethylene, and then because it is a very high modulus, it is difficult to melt it. So the entire process is difficult, and then the fibers are made, and from the fibers the lamina or 090 plies are made, which are typically used for making a body armor. So this becomes ultra high molecular weight polyethylene fibers. Next, please. It may have crystallinity up to 85%, that means very high orientation, or if it is less than 60%, it may be low orientation, which is known as entangled polymers. And once it is highly oriented, it is also known as disentangled polyethylene, DPE. So in India, one of the companies is also trying to work on this, but generally there are only two companies globally. Next, please. So if you just look at, suppose if it is a woven fabric and there is a spike or a knife attack, if the fabrics are little loosely knitted, just like our cloth, okay, it can pass through it. But if we can do it very dense, very tightly one, and if the tenacity of the fibers are good, even a spike or a knife can bend. So this is how we can stop the attack of a knife using a body armor. Next, please. So there is a difference between a woven fabric and unidirectional cross-ply laminate in terms of stopping a bullet, particularly a small arm, which may be a pistol or a carbine, 9 mm bullets, which can be easily stopped by soft armor panels or SEP, which are also known as vest. So one can wear a vest and move around. Typically VIPs, they wear it, and we can stop with very small number of layers, 9 mm bullets, which is typically lead based. Next, please. So here, once you combine this in terms of pre-prags, you can get a molded panel or a plate, and then we can try even higher level of bullets, higher level of NIJ levels or BIS levels. Next, please. So the testing becomes very important. Once you make a laminate or a plate, you have to test it. And next, please. It leads to the ballistics. So there are different type of ballistics inside the barrel. The moment a bullet leaves the barrel, then there is a external ballistics, internal ballistics, and when the bullet strikes the target, it becomes terminal ballistics. So we have to understand all of that in order to protect the wearer so that the projectile can be stopped and there is no backface or minimum backface signature. Next, please. So interior, terminal, and the exterior ballistics. So these are the three different categories. And before entering into this domain, everybody has to understand how a bullet behaves, what is spinning, what is the trajectory, and what is the weight, what is the energy, and how that energy can be taken care of by armor plate. Next, please. So there are standards, which is National Institute of Justice of USA, NIJ. And as per NIJ 0101.06, there are different type of classification. Type 2A, which is for 9 mm full metal jacketed, typically 8 grams bullet, and they are striking at a velocity of 370, but in India it is around 420 meters per second, plus minus 10. Type 2 is again FMJ 9 mm, velocity is slightly higher, and this is also 8 grams. So these are type 2. Type 3 is 0.375 secure, or it is also typically AK-47. Not AK-47. AK-47 comes at type 3, which is at almost 700 plus minus 15 meters per second, but this is a NIJ. Slight differences with the BIS levels, but this is 7.62 caliber into 39 mm length. And then there is the last one, type 4, which is a armor piercing rifle bullets, almost 11 grams, and with a velocity of 878 plus minus 10 meters per second. And this is one of the most lethal, which is also known as the sniper bullets. Indian standards for this is BIS level 6. For this one, it is BIS level 5, and there are other levels starting from 2 onwards. Next, please. So these are the different ammunitions, type 2A, 2, 3A, and 3 and 4. And we started working at level 3 and 4 at IIT Delhi to take care of the latest, because that was a requirement of Indian Army to begin with, because AK-47 is most prevalent weapon around, used by terrorists and at the borders, and API bullets are also very common at the border areas. Next, please. There is also, other than NIJ, there is a NATO standard, STANAX, which is having a headquarter at Brussels in Belgium, and STANAG 2920 defines the ballistic limits, and 4569 defines all the 5 levels of performance similar to NIJ or BIS level. Okay. Next, please. So these are the NATO standard ammunitions. Slight variations are there in all the ammunitions. Here there is also 5.56, which Indian Army was initially using it as an INSAS rifle, and 5.56 was there. But 7.62 is the AK-47, which is very typically used. I think 12.7 is the anti-aircraft gun, and because I can see some Navy people, 25 and 30 mm are there on the ships. These are the ammunitions which are used for anti-ship. And next. So we have to understand the ballistic limits, armor conditioning, armor panel, ballistic panel, and backface signature in order to do all the testing, either in-house or at the TBRL facility of DRDO at Chandigarh, to qualify whatever developments are going on. So we have developed a Center of Excellence at IIT Delhi. So I'm just focusing, even though I'm a Dean R&D, I look after 700 faculty members, but this was my project, so that's why I'm going a little deeper on it. So sorry for that. Next, please. So conditioning means you have to put an armor and age it for a life of 5 years. So you put it into a chamber with heat cycles, -20 to +90 for 10, 11 days, keep on rotating them, and with a relative humidity of 65 ±15 RH. And then you immediately take it out and fire it. And then it mimics as if the entire bulletproof jacket is 5 years old, and then you are firing it. If it stops the bullet at that point of time, then only you qualify, otherwise you fail. Next, please. And this is how the backface signature is measured. There is a backing material, which is Roma plastilina. It's a ballistic clay. And then when any bullet is hit, you can see what is the level of hit. And this is the backface signature, which is either 44 mm or 25 mm. Next, please. So when a bullet strikes, the strain rates are very high. Generally, we test material at low strain rates, typically in a lab, which is by a UTM or Instron. Some of the engineers will be very conversant with it. So that is a quasi-static rate, where the strain rates are almost of the order of 10 to the power -2. If we go into the dynamic, which is a low velocity impact, it may go up to 10 to the power 2. And then if we go into a very high rate of strain rates, which is typically for impact, it may go above 10 to the power of 4. So when you want to test a material, you have to also know the properties of the material at that strain rate. So how do you find material properties at that strain rate? So there are mechanisms. One is known as a split Hopkinson pressure bar. So you apply very high strain rates, find out what is the material property in terms of modulus, in terms of Poisson ratio, and that material property has to be used in your finite element model or any of the analytical models which you are using to predict whether the bullet can be stopped or not. Next, please. So these are the ranges. High velocity impact, which we are talking about, 50 to 1000 meters per second. So most of the bullets for personal body armor are of the range less than 1000 meters per second. Hyper velocity may be some of the missiles and that thing, which is beyond the range. Next, please. So when we look into the failure modes, there are different failures. For a brittle material, there is a brittle fracture, there could be a radial fracture, there could be fragmentation, there could be petaling, plugging, ductile hole generation, and all these things we have to understand, so that what characteristics of the material should be able to stop a bullet. Without understanding this, we cannot move further. So the mode of failure should be understood at high strain rates. Next, please. So we developed this Center of Excellence at IIT Delhi, which is sponsored by DRDO and Niti Aayog. You can see the top building here, and in this all the facilities for testing is there, and in the center there is an Indian Army soldier wearing a bulletproof jacket, which is fully developed at this facility in the last 3 years. And this is one example of establishing a Center of Excellence for a particular area which is required as a directed basic or fundamental research. So you start with the fundamental research, come to the level from TRL 3, from ideation, conceptualization, to up to TRL level 8, so that it is ready for tech transfer to the industry. This is the model which IIT Delhi proposes to all the industry, that you have to invest for a long-term vision, so that you can create something and give it back to the user or to the society, so that it comes to its actual realization. Next, please. So this is how we try to develop the models, do the complete simulation, do the mechanical testing, and develop the panels. Next, please. And then go for the actual testing of materials, simulation, modeling. These are number of steps which has to go through it, understand the projectile, understand the ballistics, and then develop the material model, and then freeze the material model so that you can optimize for weight. Next, please. So these are some of the manufacturing, which is the heart of our technical innovation. Without manufacturing, we cannot depend on industry in the beginning to do our R&D. So for doing any R&D, we should have the facilities. For example, we have all the presses for autoclaves and all the, the let's say a water jet cutting for specimens to test the specimens. And this is how we make the entire armor panel. Next, please. And then just a moment. Then we have a gun at IIT Delhi. You might be surprised. We have got a single-stage gas gun where we can accelerate any projectile up to the order of 1,000 meters per second using helium, and then we can break any of the hardened steel cores which you are seeing at the bottommost. Try to see what is the effect of ceramic, what is the effect of backface signature which is coming, and once you do all of that, then you go go to the actual lab and test your final panels. Next, please. Using this, we have developed many of these, and these are some of the courses also we run. This was for CRPF officers, and all the BPJs which they are wearing was manufactured in the COE itself, and then we gave them as a gift to all the officers of CRPF. Next, please. So apart from this, we also do non-lethal technologies. So there was a demand from one of the, I think during JNK stone pelting issues, there was a committee formed, and I think Taser was also trying to come at that point of time for controlling the mob. And at that point, we were just looking into shear thickening fluid bullets, which gives a less pain penalty, and it is non-lethal. It will never kill. But at the same time, it will also not leave any mark or evidence, and we can have a control on the crowd. There is also a skunk bullet, which makes a very dirty smell, and then people cannot withstand it. They can also leave that crowd. So the security people can use that. So here also we can do pain penalty studies. We can fire those things, develop new bullets, new ammunitions, rather than just the pellet guns or the pellets. And so COE can do all of that. We can develop safety and security forces, can also be safeguarded from the litigation. So using the digital sensors, cameras, everything inside a body. And here we are also having a project on flexible embedded electronics in the armor system, in the jacket system, with variables. So lot of verticals. There are 5 verticals of DRDO which are working on different technologies for the defense and security. So all of that may involve a lot of digital, mostly digital also, and but the fundamental research has to go. First of all, we have to stop the bullet, and then only we have to do many other things. Next, please. So this is just a glimpse of a video where we are working on this, and if there are any questions, I am open for any of the things, or if the time permits. Otherwise, this will continue to go. So, okay, so this is the final product, which we call it as ABHED, Advanced Ballistics and High Energy Defeat, and this is on the DRDO site for tech transfer. Now, this entire bulletproof jacket, next please, is one of the lightest globally to stop even the sniper bullets, and that to 6 shots. In USA, the maximum XRP, they are fired only for 3 shots. And ESRP is only for 1 single shot. So here we have 6 shots plate which are developed by IIT Delhi, and this is going to be launched very soon by either the defense minister or the prime minister within this year. So this is how we do the analysis, do the simulation, and from idea to realization, everything can happen inside a center of excellence, inside this academic institution. Only thing, the problem has to be given properly with all the objectives and so on. Okay. So these are all multiple shots when they are going to be hit. How we
Fire.
can s- I think there was a sound and some video.
Fire.
Oh, it is not coming. Otherwise, there was a burst shot. 2 gunners firing simultaneously on 1,000 square centimeter plate, and we wanted to see how many shots this plate will get from a distance of 10 meters. To us, this thing, not more than 3 shots come on it. Still, we have to 3 or 4 shots. Still, we have to put 8 shots on this. So there are standards which need to be tweaked. There are discussions which need to be understood by the user, and all of that we require people, that means the user, whether it is police forces, whether it is the army, whether it is the CRPF, they should come discuss what standards they have to follow, and we are capable of understanding and simulating all of that. Right, so thank you. If there are any questions, you just let me know.
I now request Professor Bhatnagar to please stay back for a small token of appreciation, please. Thank you, Professor Bhatnagar. Our next session will be a very enlightening and a very unique one as we explore innovation, indigenization, and incubation opportunities in the defense, sharing the naval perspective. Our next speaker is the recipient of the Honorable Nausena Award. Rear Admiral Ankur Sharma was commissioned into the Indian Navy in 1989. The officer is presently appointed as the Director General of Weapons and Electronic Systems Engineering Establishment. During his 33 years of naval career, the officer has accumulated a rich experience through varied appointments in the field of maintenance of maritime systems, research and development. He has served on board numerous frontline warships, design agencies, and naval dockyards. His present areas of interests include adaptation of futuristic technologies to maritime domain and synergizing commercial cutting-edge technologies to the battlefield applications. His current work relates to the induction of emerging technologies in the field of weapon and electronic systems in the Indian Navy. Please join your hands together to welcome Rear Admiral Ankur Sharma. Can you please have you on stage, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
India is a land of wonders. You got the Himalayas, you got the Taj Mahal. We're the largest democracy, we're the most populated country in the world. We've got more than 800 languages being spoken, a number of dialects. There are a number of wonders. As I stand in front of you in IIT Delhi, another wonder is being created. In a workshop of public safety, you got a naval officer delivering the address who's got nothing to do with public safety. He spent his time on the high seas. But many of you would be wondering, how did I land up out here? Well, it is attributed to one Captain Day sitting in the second row, extreme left. Last week I get a call from him that I've got to deliver a lecture at IIT Delhi on Indian Navy. Why did I agree? I'll just quote an incident. We were together, Captain Day and myself, in a naval headquarters. And I remember one day he walks over to my room and tells me, "Sir, I've decided to hang up my boots." I said, "Why?" He said, "I've got a job opportunity." I said, "Where?" He said, "I've got a job opportunity in LG." I said, LG which arm?" He said, "Domestic appliances." I said, "What are you going to sell?" He said, "I'm going to sell refrigerators." I said, "Where?" He said, "They've appointed me as the global head in Iceland." He was sent to Iceland and he sold 1 million+ refrigerators in Iceland. he convinced the Eskimos to buy the Iceland. I'm a small fry in front of him. That's why I'm standing out here. Having said that, I'll begin with my formal presentation. Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers to give me a chance to give a lecture on the topic as displayed on the screen. Both being a recipient and developer of technology, indigenization and innovation is very close to me and my organization. I represent an organization acronymed WESI, that is Weapons and Electronic Systems Engineering Establishment. WESI is a premier development organization which is working in the Navy in the domain of only niche technologies. If I were to explain what does WESI do, WESI is a gateway for indigenous technologies. I think I will cover the presentation as per the scope as shown on the slide. I'll briefly highlight on the genesis of WESI. WESI can be traced back to the 70s when the nation decided to launch the indigenous warship building program, and the Navy was faced with a unique challenge of integrating Russian weapons, European and Indian sensors, Italian CAIO, and an American data bus. Since there was no organization to undertake this mammoth task, the government decided to form an organization called Weapon and Engineering Establishment, an organization, that is WESO. However, based on the organization, WESO was created only for a period of 5 years. But based on the resounding success of WESO, it was termed as WESI, and a permanent structure was created. The work undertaken at WESI can be categorized into 5 distinct domains. These include Combat Systems Integration Group, that is CSI, which primarily works in the domain of networks, data buses, and system integration. The Combat Management System Group, also called as CMS, works in the field of command and control systems on board ships. The Tactical Networking and Communication System Group, acronym TANKS, works with latest communication technologies, including the software-defined radios. I would like to apprise the forum that Indian Navy is the only service which has an indigenously developed software-defined radio which is fitted on board our ships. The Cybersecurity and Crypto Group is a specialist group providing cybersecurity and crypto solutions to our Navy. It is with great pride I like to intimate you that Crypto Development Lab is one of the 6 labs in India which is graded for development of security products which are used in the Navy and also by our missions abroad. Recognizing the need to leverage commercial cutting-edge technologies being pursued by the industry, we have also created an emerging technology group. Having elaborated on the role of WESI, I will now represent the perspective of the Indian Navy as regards the impetus accorded for indigenization and innovation. To my mind, there are 4 basic enablers which are critical for indigenization and innovation. These are policies, procedures, technology, and research and development. During the presentation, I will concentrate basically on the last 2. The Indian Navy has been at the forefront of driving indigenous capacity within the country. The recent induction of INS Vikrant and P-75 class of submarines are a testimony to the Navy's commitment to hold the Indian industry's hand, both public and private. The Indian Navy's present technological capability is sourced from diverse locations across the globe, which include Russia, France, America, Italy, Spain, and so on. However, the Make in India program has driven development of indigenous substitutes, and the Indian Navy has adopted a proactive approach towards increasing adoption of indigenous content. Accordingly, the service is more than willing to invest resources, money, manpower, and time for development of indigenous weapons and sensors and other mission-critical equipment. The Indian Navy strongly believes that we cannot travel this journey of indigenization and innovation alone. We are seized of the fact that we have to partner with the best in the Indian industry and academia. And towards that, we have partnered with IIT Hyderabad for development in the domains of waveform design, data compression, smart network interface cards, and a large number of other projects. Also, an MOU has also been signed with Raman Research of Institute for joint development of solutions and use cases in the field of quantum. We are also working closely with industry and have arrangement with Bell and L&T. These academia and industry engagements have been advantageous to both partners and would accrue rich dividends in immediate future. All these initiatives are being steered by WESI. The Indian Navy is in absolute unison with the Government of India's policy of Atmanirbharta and has made its mark in all schemes, that is Make 1, Make 2, Make 3, TDF and IDX. The Navy has a 3-year roll-on plan for 530 items, out of which 110 are already in progress as of this year. To keep pace with the modern warfare and remain second to none, the Indian Navy has been pursuing niche areas of technologies for assimilation into our war machines, some of which are autonomous systems and robotics, big data and artificial intelligence, augmented, virtual and mixed reality, space and tactical communication systems, applications based on quantum technologies. A large part of the Navy's electronics inventory is of past era, where the OEMs are no longer willing to render support due to obsolescence, or if it is available, then it is prohibitively expensive. Therefore, supporting these legacy systems also offers great potential. The technologies on the slide form the core of the technology spectrum and are being extensively utilized on board our platforms. We who are at the helm of affairs would have to be agile and aware of the potential of these technologies. Innovation is a channel which will drive our technology and support future battlefield systems. The Ukraine conflict has also taught us several lessons. It is clear that the technology can be used to create and dispel fog of war. One of the key lessons is that technology pursuit must be through leapfrogging. A transformational change in technology holds a lot of potential to put us ahead of our adversaries. The conflict has reinforced the belief that there is no option for any country, and certainly India, but to be self-reliant. Dependence on imports can become a single point of failure. Therefore, indigenization, especially in the strategic electronic sector, is not a choice but a necessity. This therefore calls for building capability and capacity across all tiers of industry, and academia imposes an obligation on all of us to utilize the government policies to deliver the goods. Today, the Indian Navy is inviting academia and industry partners who can walk hand in hand with an ambitious drive towards indigenization and innovation. We look forward for solutions to stay ahead of the curve and provide us the solution for development of algorithms. Waveforms for communication is a focus area for us. Crypto solutions is extremely essential for implementation across our various strategic infrastructure. Autonomous vehicles, especially in underwater domain, is a key focus area for us. Embedded systems for our equipment is another focus area for us, and solutions in this domain are much needed. Various solutions based on quantum technologies are also being developed at WESI, and toward this, we look forward to partner with industry and academia in the domain of quantum sensing, quantum communication, and quantum computing. Virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality, and digital twins are some of the technologies we are inducting across various domains. We've also made forays into space-based communication for enhancing our strategic and tactical communication needs. The Navy has already inducted indigenous radars, ASW suits, communication systems, and combat management systems, to name a few. These inductions have been largely from defense PSUs. However, in the recent past, there has been a shift in our thinking, and private players in the Indian strategic electronic segment are also making their presence felt, wherein several equipments have also been developed by the private industry. There still exists ample opportunity to fill the gap. I would also like to bring to the fore that one area which holds lots of potential is the field of emerging technologies. And a large number of private industry players are investing heavily into these technologies. Ideation is extremely essential for innovation and constitutes the first step. The idea needs to be incubated so that the development cycle is hastened. The new disruptive technologies are changing the way we live and certainly the way we fight. After the gunpowder and nuclear technology, autonomous machines are the next big thing in warfare, which itself has transformed into multi-domain engagement. The Indian Navy has already inducted an autonomous fast attack vessel jointly developed by VESI and Bharat Electronics. This vessel is probably the first autonomous ocean-going vessel and has a large number of use cases including mine sweeping, surveillance, etc. The design of an autonomous underwater vessel is also being progressed in a very small form factor so that to give it a micro AUV capability with multiple use cases. We have been quick to realize the potential of quantum technologies and have forayed into the field very early. We have developed an in-house quantum random number generator for generation of keys for a captive crypto system. To sustain research in the field, we are in process of setting up a quantum technologies lab within the Navy. Unmanned, aerial vehicles and drones have changed the way battles are fought. The Indian Navy has already commenced its journey in exploitation of the assets and has utilized drones for coastal surveillance, magnetic signature drones, and act as communication relay. I am of firm opinion that indigenization, innovation, and incubation are central to Atmanirbharta. Self-reliance in critical technologies is essential for sustaining the edge as far as national security is concerned. It is the industry and academia which are required to bring in this edge. VESI has been partnering with these entities to achieve this goal and to involve academia directly toward development of defense innovation. VESI has partnered with Technology Incubation Hub for Autonomous Navigation at IIT Hyderabad. Toward that, development of autonomous navigation systems in critical areas are being steered. We are also working with RRI for quantum technologies. MSMEs, startups, and individual innovators are catalysts in the drive of indigenization and innovation. Several policies and plans have been rolled out by MOD like IDEX, Make in India. I implore upon the young partners, both at IIT and industry, to take advantage of the schemes and participate in nation building. The MSMEs, startups, and individual innovators should identify the right opportunity by mapping your core expertise and core competence, building capacity in terms of infrastructure, team, by creating production strategy to manufacture in-house and outsource, establish processes, controls, and documentation as per the industry best. Finally, secure initial orders by focusing on the right technology. And last but not the least, realize processes and systems to ensure meeting specified industry standards and certification. The task from the industry is tall, the goals are lofty, and the timelines are very stiff. But before I conclude my presentation, I would like to remind us all what our ex-president had said. Gentlemen, we within the Navy are very open for supporting and cultivating new ideas, and in case any academia or industry has an idea, he should reach out to us, and we would be more than willing to sponsor his idea and cultivate it so it takes a form of a deployable product. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you. Jai Hind. In case you have any questions, I will be more than delighted to answer that. Yeah, we're working into lots of things. In fact, anti-drone systems are being developed by one of our units, which is based in IIT Delhi, and we are developing those systems. Well, as brought out on the slide, IDEX is one platform, but again, if some researcher, some student, some industry feels they have got an idea, we are willing to partner. What I mean by we is VESI. VESI is willing to partner. That is another avenue. We can sponsor the project, we can give you the seed capital, and we can hold your hand till the POC is done. Thereafter, on successful completion of the POC, we can identify an industry partner, and you can see your idea germinating into a deployable product. The IPR we can work out, depend on the technology, depend on the contribution of the startup, of the researcher, of the individual. We can work it out. We are very flexible within VESI. Our aim is to partner, not to nourish vendors, but to nourish partnership. If there are no questions, thank you. God bless.
Thank you for sharing your unique and enlightening perspective, sir. If we may please provide you with a small token of appreciation. Sure. Thank you, sir. We've had an enriching series of sessions so far, but it's time for a short break to recharge ourselves. I request everybody to join us for high tea and snacks outside the auditorium area, please. Thank you. On the first floor, yes. Hello. Hello.
भाई अभी पूरी टीम को 4 बजे पूछेंगे क्या, ये वाला निकालना, ये रजत। नहीं नहीं, ये किससे फर्क है, कनेक्टर का। अगली हम लोग टाउन
बट चलो, मैं तो अगले इवेंट में नहीं रहूँगा, बट तुम लोग अगले
हाँ
इवेंट
अगले
से
ग्रेड में हाँ
देखो मैं
Hello. Hello. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your tea break. We have had an insightful and informative set of sessions in the first half, and we are now back on track with our workshop. Introducing our next session will focus on public safety in the digital age with global best practices. It is my privilege to introduce to you Mr. Christopher Kirby, Global Head of Sales at Axon, as our esteemed speaker. Mr. Chris Kirby is the Senior Vice President of Global Sales at Axon, a global leader in public safety technology. He holds a bachelor degree in philosophy and pre-law from Boston College. Mr. Kirby has been with Axon for over 10 years and has held a variety of sales and marketing roles, including developing and implementing new sales strategies that have resulted in a significant increase in customer satisfaction and global sales. As a leader for Axon's global sales, Chris empowers his work to support the lives of millions of law enforcement officers around the world every year. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your attendance, your engagement earlier today. Thank you to the facilitators of this session. It is an honor to be here at an intersection of two different things. One, a moment in time of what's going on across the world, more threats, more technology, and at this point, oftentimes more technology in the hands of us citizens than of our government officials, whether it be public safety or military. And then second is, at a time when there is more collaboration between government, academics, and industry than many times in the past. And so it's a privilege to be here in India, the world's largest population, the largest population in the world, but then also the largest young workforce in the world and the fastest growing economy of the world. In my experience, that is not just because of how big you are as a country, but also because of how innovative and resilient you are as a population. So a privilege to be here. My role at the company, Axon Public Safety, which is first and foremost focused on law enforcement across the world. What can we do to help them get their job done better each and every day? My job is to lead our global team, and yes, in sales, yes, in marketing, but most critically, in prioritizing the biggest problems we see worth solving those problems and delighting our customers, and then afterwards finding new ways of innovating with academics, with government, and with industry in the 30 different countries we are in the world. India is new for us as a business. We've only really been focusing on India for the last couple of years, and have had the privilege of partnering with the Gujarat State Police on a rather large program for really intelligence gathering and personal safety on officers. It's our hope that we can partner with academics and with government in order to accomplish a whole lot more, not just facing the problems today, but then finding the new problems worth solving and then conquering those for decades to come. With that in mind, I'm going to go through three different things. One is current state of public safety as I've learned it from my travel to 29 countries across the world. Second is what the world, not Axon, but what others are doing to solve for it. And then finally, how Axon is fitting into that picture in different places across the world. First, I'm going to start with current state of public safety. It's been mentioned earlier by different speakers. It's well known. A lot of different people, a lot of different technology, and at this point across the entire world, criminals are growing smarter, faster, and better, while also our expectations as citizens are going up considerably. And going up considerably not just as it relates to crime, but also as it relates to service. Why? Because we have technology in our pocket whereby we're connected with so many different things and can get things done in split seconds versus what used to take hours to go to the grocery store or do other things. And so there has been an incredible amount of innovation in our pockets. I think here in India, you're the largest consumer of data in the world, but also the largest population using mobile devices in the world. And so I would expect that citizens expect a whole lot by way of service, and we expect a whole lot by way of reducing crime, but we're not necessarily seeing government adopt or implement technology at that same pace for good reason. One is where they're focused, two is on budgets, three is on what they already have, and legacy systems, as the Rear Admiral said earlier, are tough to sometimes manage while also upgrading. And so what I have seen across the world is when academics, industry, and government come together, we can usually create project plans and implement things faster and better than if one of those stands on their own, which is part of the reason why I'm here as an industry leader. How do we partner more with universities such as IIT in order to create that kind of momentum here in the country? I'd say the second thing that is notable to me is there is an incredible pace of change in our pockets with the new technology that we're adopting, but there is sometimes an overreach of what that technology could mean for us as citizens in a country. And government has played a leading role of trying to ensure privacy and security of its citizens, and therefore is more restrained when it comes to technological innovation, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I, as an industry person, I could see the overreach potentially of technology innovation, where then we need to roll it back because it invades the privacy or security of citizens in some way, shape, or form. And that's where I think academics across the world are playing a leading role in not only what do we do, but how do we do this in the most responsible and effective manner moving forward as a business. The final thing is when it comes down to safety, there is an expectation that every single engagement between citizens or between citizens and their government, you leave safely at the end of that engagement. And part of the honor of being here in India is by population and by statistics, you are, I would consider you the safest place across the world statistically. Maybe it's in part because of your history of just less lethal, more humane treatment of each other. Maybe it's because of other things. But it's my goal as an industry leader to partner more with universities and other things here in the country in order to then introduce safer technology to public safety and to government. Some examples. Many people look at Axon, who was Taser when we started as a business in 1993, and say, oh, you're the American weapons manufacturer, the arms dealer, the one who's trying to bring electricity into our streets. Statistically, the Taser weapon is the most transformative use of force in the world. Example, in London, about 100,000 times per year force is used. 40,000 times that force is just hands-on with a subject, hands-on, which usually results in subject injuries, which results in officer injuries. Taser is used 44,000 times per year. And to most of the world, you could look at it and say 44,000 times of 100,000 times, that's a lot. And those probes hitting the subject and electricity hitting a subject, that's terrible. Except for the fact that 40 of those 44,000 times, the taser is never deployed at all. It is purely the threat of a taser being used between either the presence, the yellow on a belt, or the lasers being pointed at a subject or even being started on the device, or electricity firing across the gun to warn that there could be a deployment coming, that then de-escalates a situation to ensure a safe outcome for the citizen and the officer with nothing more to it. In addition to that, we have been hyper-focused on safety as a business with other sensors on the person. Those sensors to date look like body-worn cameras that in certain places across the world, when worn, de-escalate situations because purely the threat of something being recorded starts to mitigate any kind of tensions between public and their government. It is also true that there are other sensors that could be developed on officers themselves to create more lights, to create more sirens, to create more awareness of what is about to be, that could also de-escalate situations. And I think in sum, like who we are as a business is focused first and foremost, like academics, on what are the biggest problems worth solving. And in our experience across the world, again, 30 countries, they are safety, every single engagement, of which I expect there are billions of engagements here in India. Every single engagement leaves with people feeling safe and well served by each other. Second is on crime. In my travels, it's clear the issues of crime are not just because of the better technology that criminals have in their pockets, but also because of an infiltration of, yes, terrorist threats, but then also drugs, narcotics, and potentially other substances, which then elevate certain things, and when not found, could create system issues within a society. And so our second focus as a business is on how do we reduce crime in every single community across the world. And then finally, it's service. Not just are there safe engagements, but are we speeding up the way that service is provided to citizens? The Director General said a little bit earlier, they dropped the response times from 23 minutes down to 10 minutes. And in a population the size of Uttar Pradesh was a staggering statistic to me. The reason, in the United States, the average response time today is 6 minutes. But that's 6 minutes with a different infrastructure, with far less population, with a ton of tools already on U.S. policing. And so while I'm really proud of that 6 minutes, I think about 10 minutes being a staggering leap forward based on the technology that they've deployed in Delhi and around Uttar Pradesh. And those are the kind of things that I'm hoping the researchers in the room, the technologists in the room, whether you stay in academics or you move to industry or you move to a lifetime of service in government, those are the very things that we're focused on solving for. The thing that wasn't mentioned earlier that is connected to service is case times. From incident to resolution by our court system. And what I've seen repeatedly across the world, we're hyper-focused as governments on reducing response times, but less focused on the actual case management after incidences take place to then ensure that the victim is well served by the government and the police officers don't have to spend 10 working days in order to solve what could be solved for by our modern day technology in our citizens' pockets in potentially 2 or 3 hours. And so these are the things that when we talk at our headquarters and in our development offices around the world, we are hyper-focused on. 80% of the time on the problems of safety, crime, and service, and then how do we work to build technology and then partner in countries across the world in order to develop and deploy and then support those technologies over and over and over. To that end, I want to talk a little bit about other countries throughout the world that we either have partnered with or I personally have gotten to visit and learned more about what they're doing. First, Germany. Germany saw a substantial rise in violence against their officers over the last couple of decades, where whether it be assaults, surprise attacks, or other things going on, there was a sizable increase. I think it was a 5-fold increase and attacks against their officers across the country. So what some started doing was, can we create real-time operations, more information in command centers to actually deploy people in a way whereby that could be seen and prevented before it happens? Alternatively, or in addition, can we deploy technology on officers in order to reduce threats against them? Body cameras being part of it. How do we record something? And in their particular instance in North Rhine-Westphalia, it was put a body camera on, then when you're out, you don't have to record everything. But rather, when you see an instant whereby someone may be getting a little bit elevated, for your safety and mine, I'm going to record this. And that then was a de-escalating force to then reduce any kind of tension between the citizen and the responding officer. Secondly, last year in the Netherlands, they just produced their reports. Crime against officers similar to in Germany, except they have yet to deploy the same kind of programs that the Germans have. Crime has increased by about 32% across their country. And that's threats against officer, not organized crime, but just threats against officer. And to that end, what they are now experimenting with, similar to what I believe the professor earlier today called out, the dean called out earlier today, different less lethal technologies in order to reduce the potential for threats, to include something that we don't do as Axon, but is a very interesting way of thinking, lights, sirens, sounds on the officer themselves, less about communication between officer and officer, and more about prevention methods in order to de-escalate situations before they rise. Third, in Brazil, Thailand, America, more violent cultures when it comes to crime happening in our communities, but also threats against officers. They have been hyper-focused on deploying net new technology that doesn't escalate violence between officers and citizens, but rather captures what's happened so that they can review it afterwards to reduce any kind of investigative time that they have to put other staff on, or to train differently and better. An example being, how do we take a bunch of body-worn camera footage, put that footage into VR headsets in order for those VR headsets to then be used either daily or weekly by responding officers to look at different situations that maybe they haven't encountered to date, but they will encounter at some point in the future. The Maldives, similar approach to what I saw in Brazil with regard to new technology and more frequent training. In America, training today happens once per month. 10 hours of training per officer once per year in America. 10 hours of training per officer. And every single leader I've met with across the United States says the same thing. We don't invest enough on training. We don't invest enough on training. And so 20 years ago, we started working with them on, well, what additional things could we be doing? And the first approach was always, well, we need to spend more money on our academies. We need to spend more money on hiring personnel. We need to spend more money on bringing in research institutions to help us understand different things that are going on. And while all of that is true, over the last 3 years, the most transformative thing I've seen is actually placing VR headsets with preloaded content in every single district and responding precinct across a large geographic radius in order for officers to get more information daily, weekly, monthly in order to see what's going on. The same thing is going on in the Maldives. In fact, we met with their emergency response teams, and their emergency response teams are using sensors on the person to include body-worn cameras, but then also software systems in order to then understand what's going on more with regard to their emergency responses, tagging certain parts of that footage, putting it into monthly training, not through VR, but in classroom setting, in order to give people more content before they actually go out in the streets and see things. Now, I'm going to pause here and talk about just connecting an earlier point. I am not a TikTok user, to be clear. That is not because America has banned it just yet, though I do expect it. But it is because I just don't see the need personally to be engaged with TikTok. That said, I am a big Instagram user. On Instagram, you're constantly seeing photographs and short video clips. I get more content per day than most officers or military officials are getting about the dynamic situations that they're running into every single day. That's just by being a citizen, being part of this global network. I expect there are many forces throughout the world who are taking a leading role in getting more intelligence to their officers before incidents actually occur. That's the kind of joint partnership that I'd love to see between Axon and industries, institutions like y'all's, but then also y'all with different industry here in your own country, similar to what the Rear Admiral called out about indigenous building, in order to create those kind of ecosystems of information that can be passed amongst public safety officers and military in order to prepare better for every single dynamic situation. Canada, they have been the foremost leader I have seen in the investigative process. So not real-time response to things, but rather how do we collect more things from the public in order to prosecute crimes better. Prosecute crimes better. And it's not better content for court, it's not better for the prosecutor, it's better in terms of speed for the victim. Example here, I was talking with one of the leaders in Toronto, and he said years ago when they studied the case time between incident and Crown Prosecution Service decision to prosecute or not, the average amount of time was 16 days. I thought about my family, I think about many of your families. If there was an assault against someone in our families, violent or not, I think many of us would expect that our government probably serves us in faster than 16 days, just waiting for whether it's going to be prosecuted or not. What they've now done is implemented a slew of technology, but here's the key, not a slew of new ideas, a slew of really well-built technology that is hyper-integrated together, because without integration, you have to spend a bunch of laborious time going system to system to system in order to then get over to the Crown Prosecution Service and make decisions faster. A year after their implementation of new data capture, data aggregation, and data sharing tools, they have dropped that 16-day average to 6 hours. If my sister today was the victim of a domestic violence incident and she was served by her government in 6 hours versus 16 days, she would sleep better for 16 more nights. That matters to me. It matters to my grandmother. It matters to anyone in a community who could be impacted by anything like that. And I think that's the expectation of the most mobilely connected society, the most data-rich society here in India. I expect you could take a leading role in that kind of thing moving forward to shorten that kind of prosecution and investigative time. In addition to that, we're seeing many new programs, not just technology, but programs. Example, in the US, it used to be that officers were going out and patrolling solo, but they would only be responding to incidences, and they would go where crime was happening. Now, they are much more embedded in the community. Multiple officers going out and embedding in the community, playing soccer, playing football with certain people in order to understand things before they actually take place. Not just data, but also embedding in the community to humanize what's actually going on and figure out the human intelligence network. In the UK, there is this concept of total policing, similar to what's going on in the US, but again, more resources put toward key problems that are going on in communities. Australia is doing similar things, slightly different approach in Australia. Instead of actively going out in the community, they are embedding more cross-functional people into the command centers. Example, Western Australia. Large geographic range, very remote, similar to a lot of places here in India. Satellite technology now connects the officers to a centralized command center. And in that centralized command center sits the Department of Health, the Department of Education, the Department of Housing. The reason all of them are sitting with public safety is because any critical incident that pops up, They want to coordinate responses, not just as a public safety group, but amongst different ministries in order to solve 4 key things. Example being domestic violence. Again, if my sister was the victim of domestic violence today at her home, I would want her kids probably go to a different school. I'd want her to probably be in a different house. I'd probably want the different groups of my country to work together in order to really facilitate in that 6-hour charge time a different situation for her and her kids. And that's what Western Australia is doing today. And so I say all this to share in the room that there are human investments that people are making, but the majority of what I'm seeing is technology, innovation, and implementation in order to solve challenges. Though I heed the warning and respect the warning, agree with the warning of the professor earlier as it relates to traffic, we need to start with the right questions. And instead of just rushing to a technology to solve a problem, think about what the root cause is and then what our system of technologies and human programs are going to be to solve those over time. Now, with respect to time, I'm not going to go into Axon's technology in depth. Note that we are hyper-focused on real-time technology on the mobile device, but then also different equipment, such as cameras on the person, cameras in the car, drone footage, integration with CCTV, in order to give a more complete intelligence picture for real-time operations that are occurring in streets across the world today. Second, what you're seeing at the bottom is this platform hub, this software hub, which again, I mentioned a little bit earlier. Integration is key for us. An open platform, not a closed platform, whereby data can all go into a centralized system, can be assembled, can be reviewed, can be played back, can be worked on in certain ways for presentation into court or for investigations. And I heed the warning from the Director General earlier today. There's already systems in place today, so can you integrate this system with those systems? The answer is yes. So if our first focus is on real-time operations, our second focus is on data management, data analytics, and critically, integration between different systems in order to accelerate the workloads, the workflows of officers, not to slow them down. Keynote here. I was reading the Times of India last week, and one of the articles that I read was about officers here in India feeling a remarkable burden of burnout, of pressure, of having to respond to things day in and day out. And I think in the article it cited that about 60% of them mentioned that if they had an opportunity to go to private sector or to another industry, they would go. They would go because it's an incredibly hard job, but they would also go, and here's my challenge to the room, because we have not innovated quickly enough on technologies that we have in our pockets, and therefore it seems very interesting to go into the private sector because you got better tools, faster processes, just an easier overall life. And so my mission at the company is, can we create better technology in order to give people devices on their pocket, on their person, to de-escalate situations such as the taser, such as body-worn cameras, potentially other sensors with industry or academics here? Absolutely. Can we create more real-time intelligence tools in order for people to understand more about what's going on and then send responding units to control a situation better and better and better every single time? Absolutely. But it is also to create technology that can speed up the work of every single officer across India so that they feel like not only do they have good technology, they have the most cutting-edge technology that's outpacing what we have as citizens in order to then empower them every single day. Think, if we have this data management tool, can it become a TikTok of sorts whereby you see things before you go out to your shift? Can it become a platform whereby your reports don't take hours to write, you don't have to drive, you can do it all in your pocket? Can it become a hub that's so well integrated with your other systems whereby you could send over and prosecute something in hours, not days? And instead of adding a bunch of more labor force to an already tired labor force, can we create superhuman officers who work with community in order to advance the causes across this great country. With that, I'm going to turn it over to a video in order to wrap us up, and then Dr. Mitra, I will turn it over to you. This here is just an example of our latest non-lethal, less lethal technology. So this is our Taser 10 device. The goal of this device is to give officers, again, 85% of the time, something that deters any kind of rise of threat against them. It is also to give them a tool whereby, much more specifically, they could immobilize a threat before it becomes a material problem to themselves or any other community member around them. And the key here is immobilize the threat, not kill the threat, not hurt the threat, immobilize the threat. Our mission as a company is to protect life. This is part of that overall mission, and we hope to do a whole lot more with research institutions, academic institutions, and government across the country in the decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. May we please extend a token of appreciation for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our penultimate session will delve into digital technology and public safety. We are honored to have Dr. R.K. Mitra, Principal Advisor at Center for Digital Economy Policy, to share his expertise with us. Dr. R.K. Mitra is a former civil servant who served in the government of India. He was involved in policy formulation in the areas of special economic zones, Indian visa, and immigration. After a superannuation from the government of India, he joined as a professor at IIT Jodhpur in the area of strategy and public policy. He has also taught at IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, and several other IIMs. Dr. Mitra is the principal advisor at Center for Digital Economy Policy, where he brings his wealth of experience in policy formulation and e-governance to bear. Dr. Mitra also has a PhD on e-governance from IIT Delhi itself. Please join me in welcoming Dr. R.K. Mitra.
Thank you, Sharad. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm really a little wondering that what do I speak to you? Because my job has been vastly simplified by my previous speakers. OP, who happens to be my batchmate in Indian Police Service, although he belonged to a different service, told you at length about the various digital interventions in the public safety. And further, my job was further simplified by Kirby by telling what is happening globally. So I'm really bewildered. What do I speak to you? Is there anything for me to speak? So I have decided to tell you a couple of stories. These are real life stories, right? Because what exactly public safety means will be very clear from these stories. You know, after spending about almost 4 decades in civil service, I haven't got a credible answer to a question which haunted me for a long time. Who is a common man? I have no clue. Is it a man who sells vegetables on the roadside is a common man? Or is it we too common men? The ultimate reality is this: in fact, all of us are common man depending on the context in which we are put into. You have driving your, let's say, Mercedes at the midnight, and suddenly the car got off. There is nobody around you. What do? Your status, your position of no use at the time. To whom do you look for to rescue you from the situation? So the point I'm trying to say, so I'll tell you the stories of common man and how some people try to solve it. The year was 1991. These are real life stories, which I later on penned down in my PhD thesis. Incidentally, I happened to be the first scholar on public safety and information technology in India from IIT Delhi. 1991, one young IPS officer who happened to have been an engineer from one of the IITs got posted in a district in Punjab called Jalandhar. Some of you might be aware that Punjab was under the grip of a insurgency for a long time. So it was just recovering. So on being taken over as SP, and I was at that time just posted in the Interior Ministry in my first deputation, he called me, just said, how do I handle the scenario? Because there is every possibility of terrorism, again, gripping their head over this. So how do I handle the situation? Well, what it did, at that time, remember, the IT was not that dominant. It was just making a debut. It made a debut in 80s and 70s in the USA, like every good thing on technology happened in America. But India was far behind at the time. Then what he started developing, I told him that, do you know your district? You are the superintendent of police of your district, Jalandhar. Do you know your district? How do you know? Who are the people live there? What is their profile? What kind of accidents you across? What kind of incidents you have come across? Then he said, sir, idea. Being an IT background, he started developing a software where he started profiling his district. The type of number of villages, the type of the people, male, female, their age, young people, non-young people, their profession, how many people come on a monthly basis, how many people leave, how many people from the households are absconding for a long years, who are the new strangers coming into my village. So over the time and year, he became so proficient about his district that it became extremely useful for him to prevent the crime, because when you are armed with so much data, it is easy for you. When I'm coming to know that who are the new entrants to my area, I know how to keep a vigilance on them. So therefore, when he demitted office, this particular district was one of the few districts in the state which was absolutely crime-free, right? He didn't have all the emerging technologies that we are talking about in those days called IoT, AI, nothing was there. His simply convictions and use of a technology made him to succeed. Now I come to another story. This is a story of another young IPS officer. he was posted in a myriad in Uttar Pradesh, one of the districts which was infamous for the crime, right? So having been posted there, his first task was, how do I make my district crime-free, make the public safety, make the people's life more secure? So in one of the training, he went to the USA and got exposed to 911, very famous in USA. He came back and wanted to implement a similar system. And he did it. What he did, he introduced Seva 100, ACWA 100, which was very simple. One of the complaints that he used to receive, that when there is a caller calling to help, no mobiles, I mean the PCR mobiles, will be reporting to him before 1 hour. By the time the crime happened, criminals fled. He said, what is this all about? Why our mobiles are not reaching in time? So the mobile operators, people on the duty said that I was far, far off from the scene of crime. How do I reach in that time? You tell me. Whether it was true or not true, he had no means to verify. So what he did, he brought a GPS-based digital mapping system in his control room. So the moment a caller is calling, his location is flashing on the digital map. And by this time, he put GPS to all the mobiles. So he is able to see which mobile is closest to the scene of crime. And control officer is giving direction to that mobile, move to the scene of crime. So within 5 to 10 minutes, which was earlier not even 1 hour, the mobiles could reach for the rescue of the people. This particular incident became so successful. So when I go for a field study, I was talking to the people because I didn't like to depend on his data. I found that the people were so happy. They said, here is a police which comes to us within a few minutes. This is another example. Do you think that he had access to the large amount of technologies or resources? He didn't. All that he had is a conviction to serve the people, right? And I will come to the third story. This has happened in Jaipur. Some of the SPs, Superintendent Police used to tell me, said it's quite embarrassing. And why? Because in the newspaper I come to know that there is a crime in my area. My people don't inform me because they have no means to inform me. So in the morning newspaper I find there is a crime in my own area which I don't know being a superintendent of police. And when my home minister asks me, I'm not in a position to reply, what do I do? So they introduced in the association, at the time I was in the part of Interior Ministry already, we devised a very simple system, intranet-based system, where we connected all the police stations, circle offices, SP's office, district magistrate office, and DIG's office. So any incident is happening in any police thana station jurisdiction, it is being communicated. So in his dashboard, he can see that some crime is taking place in my area at 12 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning. At least the information gap which he was suffering from was bridged. So immediately he could give direction what is to be done to arrest it. And the system became very popular by the name called Arakshe. So what was the learning from these small stories? The learning is this. Public safety is not a matter of captive property of technology alone. There has to be human behind it to bring it to the use of the common people for the public safety. I may have, OP Singh was talking about camera-fitted electric lights, right? Street lights. Fine, I put street lights all across with the camera and something is detected. But if there is no implementation, what use it is? We tried to implement in the Home Ministry, particularly for the women. When the women are leaving an office and she has to pass through a dark area or a deserted area, so we create an app system so you can communicate, then one of the police PCR will escort her, which system. The point is this, public safety is something which responsibility of each of us. Each of us have to be contribute to this. All that is required a overbearing conviction to contribute to the public safety. Now tell me how many of us stop for a while when I see somebody is injured in an accident on the road, the first reaction to get away. Very few of us stop, try to help, because we know that if we stop and go, the police will be asking me, chasing me. We don't. The mindset change is also important. Probably technology can help in changing the mindset. And I will give the last example of mine because I could see from your face you are very hungry. So I don't want to prolong my lecture. This happened in Tamil Nadu. There was a woman chief minister. All of you know the name. She is no more with us. The problem came that the complaints of the women were not being looked after with that sensitivity by the main policeman. That was a standing complaint. Either the women were not able to narrate what is their ailments, or the policeman was not in a position adequately sensitized or sensitive to understand what is the problem. You know, women have their own way of communicating. So when it came that then DGP, who later became a very Director General of one of the paramilitary force, he said, why not giving this responsibility to the women only? So he started building all women police station. He said all women related complaints should be handled by them. Because women will understand women better, so therefore they will be able to redress the grievances, understand their pains very better way. Well, this was held and the people liked it very well. But the problem is this, these women police did not know how to handle a complaint and what are the issue. So therefore, a massive training program online was organized for these women to train how do you handle a women's problems very scientifically and professionally. And when I was doing my study, I was astonished to find the number of reductions in the, or number of cases of resolution successfully of the women's complaint was clocked about 60 to 70%, which was hardly 5 to 10% before the advent of this system. So the second point which I want to share with you, that we need to have an utmost sensitivity to handle the public safety. Public safety is not the alone responsibility of the police or law enforcement agency. It is responsibility of everybody, all citizens. And technology could be a good medium to assist us, but technology in itself by itself cannot really help the public safety. You may have a host of technologies, but public safety may remain in a very dim position if we do not know how to channelize them, how to use them, and how to add our sensitivity to leverage their benefits. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Right? You want to give me something?
Thank you, Dr. Mitra. If we may please provide you with a token of appreciation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitra. Our final session for tonight will focus on industrial safety and security, an Indian perspective. It is our privilege to welcome Mr. Gopal Prasad Chaudhary, Senior Vice President and Group CSO of Vedanta Group. Mr. Gopal Prasad Chaudhary is currently the Senior Vice President and Group Chief Security Officer of Vedanta Group. He is a law graduate and he began his career as an officer serving in the Indian Army. He then joined the Indian Police Service, where he served in the counter-terrorist ops in J&K, headed functions and units that provided security, intelligence and crisis management cover to DVC. During his time in the police, he held a number of senior positions, including Superintendent of Police, Special Task Force, Special Staff Officer to the DGP, member of the state level committee to deal with the organized crimes, and member of the state level committee to prevent production and business of narcotic substances. Mr. Chaudhary migrated to the corporate world in the year 2009 and has also served in Tata Steel as the Chief Security and Brand Promotion Officer, and Wipro as the Global Security Head. If I may please request Sir to be onboarded onto the videos call.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Mitra, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot for providing this opportunity to share my thoughts on industrial security. So, I started my career in 1988 with the Indian Army and have served in Sri Lanka as part of the Indian Peacekeeping Force, followed by service in Jodhpur, Northeast, where it was Operation Bajrang and Operation Rhino launched in Assam. And thereafter I joined CISF in 1997, served again in Calcutta Port, served as part of the internal security system in Kashmir, Kishtwar and Doda in 2000 when it was burning. And thereafter I served in airport, joined Jharkhand Police on deputation, worked there as SP, STF and OSD to DGP. And 2009 I migrated to corporate world. So I've seen OG, I've seen Khaki, and since last 14 years I'm working with the corporates. This is my third corporate. Started my career from Wipro as Vice President and Global Security Head, followed by almost a decade in Tata Steel as Chief Security and Brand Protection. And now presently I am in Vedanta Group, taking care of physical security, intelligence, vigilance, and relationship with the law enforcement agencies. So when I see this safety, I understand that any country can remain safe when its borders are safe, its critical infrastructures are safe, and its overall population is safe. You have law and order, you have peace at border, peace inside the country, and we have recently seen what exactly has happened in Manipur. So even if your borders are safe, there are some influences from across the border, and again, you have your inner issues also that impacts the public safety. First thing that comes to our mind as far as corporate security is concerned as to why should corporate need security. It's the responsibility of the police. It's the responsibility of the law enforcement agencies and authorities to maintain peace. And then we realize a couple of incidents that have happened across the world. Like you must be aware about 9/11, that basically changed the way security was being seen by the entire world. So all those who are aware about 9/11 must be aware that that was not the first attack on World Trade Center. There was an attack on World Trade Center prior to 9/11. And thereafter, 9/11, after the first incident on World Trade Center, one of the experts in counterinsurgency, who was also considered an expert on Al-Qaeda and who was part of the FBI, was brought in as the Chief Security Officer of World Trade Center. And management of World Trade Center, they spent a lot of money on security of World Trade Center. But what happened on 9/11 didn't happen because of the failure of security of World Trade Center, but it happened because of the failure of security at the airports, from where all the hijackers entered into the aircraft, hijacked the aircraft, and banned the aircraft on World Trade Center. So even if your entire system, security system management is very good, if somewhere in the neighborhood there is some lapse, it may impact the corporation. So we have several incidents, like say for example, blazing car crashes in Glasgow airport where a lot of innocent people got impacted. Mumbai local train incident. Again, we have had 26/11 Taj attack, Mumbai attack basically. That again made us to believe that we had to struggle for almost all 3 days to contain the impact of terrorism, which again was basically exported from across the border. Or then we have many other incidents that keeps impacting, like you must be aware about famous Maruti incident where because of the trade union activities, employees and general management got impacted and production got impacted. when you have, Mumbai Taj attack, and what exactly? So if you see the, lessons learned from Taj attack, 9/11, the committee said that it was a failure of imagination, that there was a lack of real-time situational awareness, lack of information sharing. I just heard Dr. Mitra talking about communication for law enforcement. I've gone with the patrol in remote area in Jharkhand fighting against the Naxals, or I've gone to the remote area in Kashmir in Doda and Kishtwar, where forget about communicating with the base. If somebody gets a bullet injury, it takes almost all 6 to 8 hours to reach to the nearest base station, provide him the required, medical help and support, unless you have a helicopter. So communication and entire, transportation, communication, conveyance, providing support, reinforcement, all these are basically dependent upon technology, dependent upon the support that you need to fight the war, whether it is war against the state or it is basically, fighting the inimical elements for the corporate. Now, three things are very important. One is communication. How exactly do we communicate? Second is basically working in silos versus working, in a coordination. Like say, for example, even in India, we have several intelligence agencies which work, under different ministries. Like you have a DRI in Income Tax, in Ministry of Finance, you have you have Enforcement Directorate, and you have BSF has its own G branch, Army has its own intelligence. But what exactly happens is that how good is their sharing of information, how coordinated that sharing of information is, could basically avoid a big incident. If all of these intelligence agencies and all these inputs, all the informations are converted into intelligence. A very oft-quoted quote I've heard recently is DRIP. So data is rich, but information is poor. Thousands of cameras all around, lakhs of cameras in London City. How good is the data that basically gets converted into information, and then something called, if you have a big data, you can convert that into analytics. So you say, you can predict certain incidents based on the trend that you see. So first and foremost is, whether we are working in silos with technology, whether it is human intelligence, whether it is open source intelligence, or we are working in a concerted manner. Second, do we have the right use of digitization? I quite often hear people talking about digitalization, use of technology, artificial intelligence. Quite often I see senior people talking about it. Do we need all that that is available in the market? Are we customizing the requirement by understanding what exactly is the outcome of everything that I intend to achieve from that data? That's very important. What is required by a police force in Mumbai may not be required by a police force in Raipur or police force in Ranchi, because of the type of crime incidents, modus operandi, gang operating, etc. So everything is different altogether. So most important thing is that you need to connect the technology and the technocrats who understand the technology and the user. I remember when I was in Wipro, I had gone to Mumbai and I had spoken to the police commissioner, Navi Mumbai at that time. And he said that one of the biggest problems he faces is that there's a patch in the Navi Mumbai where people used to drive at a very fast speed, and then they used to meet with an accident. And they used to die after, if you are driving a vehicle at a speed of 120 kilometer, 130 kilometer, and you meet with an accident, there is all probability that vehicle will topple and you may get injured and you may not come out of the vehicle. And so most of the time, people used to die because there used to be delay in their timely evacuation from the place of accident to the hospital. And he was struggling. And then he asked me if Wipro can help in finding out a technical solution. And then we came out with a solution of putting on the video analytics in the camera. I'm talking about 2009-10. And then they said that can we cameras with video analytics that can detect a stationary vehicle. So if on a expressway there is a vehicle that is static, even if it is stopped, camera will pick it up and will send it to the command center. And the command center, police command center, can figure out if it is a stoppage by design or it's an accident, even if it is a breakdown. And the same message goes to the quick reaction team on the highway, expressway, and they can reach out. While quick reaction team is going to the highway, command center intimates the police, hospital or nearest hospital and nearest police station to provide evacuation and support. And that's how simultaneously a vehicle meeting with an accident, camera picking up the stationary vehicle, QRT rushing to the site of incident. Doctors are ready to receive a critically injured patient, and you can save the life of the patient. And what we say is a basically golden hour. First hour after the accident or first hour after a disaster, when you can save life if you are ready, if your level of preparedness is good. And this is how things can be basically brought under control. I also remember one incident when I joined Tata Steel. And it is located in the heart of the city, and there is a lot of scrap getting generated in Tata Steel. So there used to be a lot of attempt to steal those scraps, especially by young people who used to be drug addicts. So they need a piece of copper, they need a piece of iron, so that they sell that and buy the drug. And that had become basically a habit. They used to cross over the perimeter wall and sort of steal some scrap here, lying everywhere in the plant. And then we used to come to know from the security head of the plant that we caught 4 people or we caught 5 people, but I was not sure as to all the people who made an attempt have been caught, or it is a fraction of people, percentage of people who made an attempt has been caught. What exactly is the enormity of the problem? And then we put CCTV, we brought perimeter intrusion detection system, and that provided us, by sitting in the command center or in my office, I could see on my mobile or a tab as to how many attempts happened during the night, how many were foiled, how many could not be foiled, and what exactly are the lacuna in the entire intervention system. So technology, along with the standard operating procedure and capability to intervene timely, can result in addressing the issues. If we see one of the issues that quite often happens is intelligence. Quite often you will hear people talking about police failure, intelligence failure, that people do, like it is quite often said after every terror incident that gets, results in killing or injury, they say it's what is an intelligence failure. Now from where do we get the intelligence? Basically, you don't get the intelligence unless some rival organizations have provided that lead, or you have your person in that particular organization, because they work in a very clandestine manner. One thing that helped, and I have seen that in my anti-Naxal operation or even in my tenure in Kashmir, that is local people. If you have very good connect with the local people, and in corporate I say my employees and everybody else who is working at the place, if they become the eyes and ears, that's a fantastic way of collecting these, developing the human intelligence. One part of the entire piece, human intelligence, technical intelligence, and open source intelligence. So human intelligence, they become your eyes and ears. When they become your eyes and ears, you start getting intelligence. And if you get intelligence, it is very easy to nail the criminal. We have seen entire world was looking for Osama, and after US got the input about he hiding in a place in Pakistan, it took less than 12 hours to hunt him out and annihilate him. But till then he was evasive. He was evading. So important thing, what I intend to tell you is that the way corporate are working is basically based on the several key performance indicators. Like say for example, most important, whether it is police force or a corporate security, is to first decide the incident that we intend to prevent. What we call is security risk, what exactly is the threat, what exactly is the vulnerability. And after we do that, we identify the early warning indicator. how would I know that I'm heading towards the big crisis? There are certain indicators. It could be open source intelligence, it could be human intelligence, it could be technical intelligence, it could be lead provided by anybody. So if early warning indicators are monitored, and if I'm able to identify all the threats and vulnerabilities, I can develop a mitigation plan, whether it is deployment of security personnel, it is deployment installation of technology, or management process of screening, process of material movement and counting, and thereafter it is contingency plan. So if my early warning indicator fails and if my mitigation measures fail and if incident happens, then how early I'm able to identify and detect the threat or intrusion and neutralize that. And here comes the role of technocrats providing the technology or technical team providing the technology, intelligence team providing the inputs or early warning indicators, security team, security operation team to ensuring the security operation and governance, and intervention team to intervene in case all that fails. Now, I'm also associated with Rashtriya Raksha University, which is a institute of national importance, and you must be aware that this university has been established by our Honorable Prime Minister when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And now, Rashtriya Raksha University has started courses, customized courses on corporate security. In fact, 2 batches of Vedanta Junior Security Officers training, one batch is still going, one has already completed 3 months course. Now, Rashtriya Raksha University is now emphasizing on developing the corporate security professionals, especially leaders, because if you see in India, we have more than 1 crore private security personnel. So the number of private security personnel in India is more than the sum total of the strength that we have in the Indian defense services, paramilitary forces and state police. But this again, private security industry is not very organized. It is still not a choice, choice of employment for the youth, but it is providing it is doing a good job, and it has to basically, its capacity needs to be built. So we are working on that building of the capacity of the private security personnel, so that together, in collaboration with government agencies, use of technology, use of private security agencies, developing the processes, identifying the lacunas, gaps and threats and vulnerabilities, we can have a security risk mitigation plan and we protect our critical national infrastructure. Remember that a country needs to be protected well at the border as well as inside the border. It is not only the protecting the border. Today is the Kargil Divas. I have served in the Indian Army, so my salute to all the brave warriors and brave hearts who led their life, and sort of protected our borders. But I also salute to all the brave hearts who are protecting us within the country. So I would say that corporates are now fully aware about the issues that they are facing. They need to protect their investment, they need to protect their brand, they need to make sure that the entire human resources are assured of their safety and security while working, while commuting, and it is a win-win situation both for the country as well as for the corporate that we all remain protected. We are in a sweet spot. Another 30-40 years are going to be the years for India where we intend to become, world gurus and we want to become trailblazer. It is the time that we invest very, very meticulously, very, very diligently, not only in technology, but also in building the capability of the people, developing the human resources, and also thinking towards becoming more ethical, becoming more value-driven, becoming more patriotic and nationalistic, so that our country has its own, golden era again. Thank you. Thanks a lot for providing me this opportunity.
Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Chaudhary, please?
If you have any question, I'm ready to. Otherwise, thanks a lot. Any question from anyone?
Would anybody have any questions? I believe there aren't any questions at the moment, sir.
Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all our esteemed speakers for sharing their expertise and insights for today's sessions. As we have concluded today's sessions, I would now like to invite Mr. Pratik Rajshekhar to provide the closing comments, please. Thank you.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's almost lunchtime, so I will keep it very quick. Not going to spend too much time here, but this is essentially a quick thank you note for everyone. I know everyone has taken enough time out, 3 to 4 hours out of their busy schedules to be here today. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming. It's on behalf of Axon and Center for Digital Economy and Policy Research. I extend my sincere thanks to all our esteemed speakers for gracing the event despite their schedules. Mr. O.P. Singh, Professor Geetam Tiwari, Professor Naresh Bhatnagar, Rear Admiral Ankur Sharma, Mr. Chris Kirby, and Mr. Gopal Chaudhary, sir, who we just saw on our screen. Thank you for speaking on this very important topic of public safety. It was really enriching and thought-provoking, so thank you once again. Thank you to IIT Delhi, of course, for allowing us to host this event here in this prestigious campus. Your help and your support through the last couple of weeks was truly critical to ensuring this was a successful event, so thank you again. I'd also like to thank the volunteers, coordinators, and staff from C-DEP who have worked tirelessly over the last couple of weeks. I know I've been talking to them multiple times over the past week or so. They've been diligently working to make sure this was a grand success. You were the true backbone of the whole event, so thank you. Last but not least, thank you to the audience members here for having again made the time out and joined us for this important discussion. You being here, I think, is the most important because it became a conversation that's not just for the speakers themselves or for Axon, it's more for the general public as well, and you as audience members are the ones that we actually wanted to talk to about. So thank you for again attending. With this, I will conclude the event. We have packed lunches upstairs in the first floor where we had tea as well, so please grab some food on the way out. So again, thank you everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
With that, we come to the end of this workshop on public safety in the digital age. I request I request everybody to kindly proceed for lunch, which is also on the first floor. Lunch would be starting in the next 10 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.